Every part of this lecture. So check that whether you are able to get the sound or not. Anyway, volume. Okay. So am I audible now? Better? थोड़ा और बढ़ाओ भाई. Okay. So in science and technology, I understand that volume should be high, right? Because people are scared of it. I mean, there are two categories of people in science and technology. One is engineers and doctors. I mean, science background student. They are in full overconfidence, right? That they will crack it, no matter what it comes. And then there is another side also, like arts and commerce, and they think that no, I could not master it in 9th and 10th, then how could I do it right now? But both of these categories are a little bit mistaken, because UPSC is not exploring, that scientific area. They are basically exploring scientific temperament, right? And to display the scientific temperament, you need to understand what is going on in India at scientific front, right? And to understand what is going on in India and scientific front, you don't need to be a scientist, right? You just need to be well aware person, right? So I was advised, because just few minutes back I had a meeting with ma'am, and she suggested me to talk to the student so that we can create a kind of ecosystem environment where we can talk about the basic concept and the application, the other part, right? So this first class is not the class, it's a kind of interaction. We will interact with each other. Rather, I'll tell you how to deal with science and technology, right? What is the importance of it and how can we go about it, right? So the most important thing that we need to understand, that this is very important and integral part of the preparation. I mean, anybody who is thinking that science and technology can be ignored, then it cannot be ignored. I'll tell you why. First of all, this is general science and technology. If I take prelims and mains together, and then in the both stages of the examination, that is in prelims and main, you will find it at both places. And you know that the first hurdle is prelims, and you also be knowing it, that clearing prelims is a tough job, right? Many people who are prepared for main, they write very good answer. But then problem is that they could not clear prelims many a time. I know many cases where prelims was not there in a first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, person cleared prelims, mains, interview and final selection, right? Prelims is very tricky, right? Why it is tricky and how it is tricky, we'll talk about in a coming lectures also. But it is tricky, right? And the whole scenario of prelims, that you can crack prelims if you are able to do around 45 questions all correct. So 45 questions all correct, you are above cutoff. So in a less than 50% marks, you can clear prelims. But the problem is that people are having a struggle in that too. Many of the people you must be knowing, I know. And that person has secured a rank around 650, 700 something. And that same person is appearing for prelims for the next year, not able to clear the prelims. Selected one, I'm talking about the person who has already secured the seat in final result sheet. They are also not sure that they are able to get the prelims next year or not, right? So that much tricky it is. Now, 45 out of 100 is a tough job, and obviously you cannot be that accurate enough that you hit on a 45 question, you get all 45 correct. Obviously, to get the 45 net correct, you have to hit around 70-75 question, right? And then minus and everything deducted, and 45, 44, maybe 46, and that category will come, and then finally will get selection. In this prelims examination, we know that 12 to 15 questions are coming from general science and technology, invariably. And for that, it's not a rocket science. you can simply get into the any past year question paper after 2011, because in 2011 prelim syllabus was changed, and then you will realize that number of question is there in that range. Sometimes it goes beyond 15 also, never gone down 12. And the most important part, that sometimes it get integrated with environment. So there are many questions where environment and science both are converged together. You will find the same question in the question bank of science, same question in the question bank of environment. And then there is another area, that is physical geography, right? So physical geography also, there you will find some questions which are coming from scientific nature. Let's say I'll give you one example. In geography, you talk about a lot of things. There is LIS, Land Information System, GIS, Geographical Information System. And one of the technology that we use over there is called GPS. GPS is Satellite Navigation System. And Satellite Navigation System is a part of space technology. So integration of space technology with a certain section of geography is there, right? I mean, it's not necessary that they will be asking question directly from that integration, but that integration is there, required in your understanding to read, understand the question, to select or eliminate options to get the things correct. You got my point? UPSC is not about that, okay, this much I have read and in that particular way I can crack this much of question. You need knowledge. You need knowledge not only to crack question, but you need knowledge to understand the question, to understand the option, to eliminate and select the possible options. You got my point? So I'm not getting into that. I'll just stick to 12 to 15 questions. But if you add environment and physical geography part, then you can add 5-7 question more. So somewhere it is 20 to 25. I mean, if you conduct a survey personally on the past year question paper and you just put two things together, environment and science, every year you will get 30 plus question, है ना? Environment and science. Environment में 20 का सवाल तो आ ही रहे हैं, 15-20, इधर 12-15. Conservative figure I am taking, so it's 30 question, maybe plus 2 plus minus 2, but 30 question. Now, why can't you ignore it? Let's say 15 question, I'll talk about 15 only, this area. So many people think, let's forget it. So minus 15, that means you are playing with how many question? 85. People are not able to get 45 question out of 100. And how can you think that you will be able to get 45 question out of 85? The simple is, I mean, the math is very simple. And it's not like that out of 15 such question, you have to make all 15. It's not like that. First of all, you need to be very professional when you are preparing, right? Sometime when we start our preparation, we have, superhuman expectation from ourselves. 90% of students come to Delhi or anywhere with a superhuman expectation. कि अब मैं आ गया, अब तो बिल्कुल. UPSC was waiting for me only, and now I have arrived. They don't come, they arrive, right? So now I'll do the thing, right? And then let's say, I understand that maybe one subject will be your favorite. Let's say history is your favorite, geography is your favorite. And when you are going to, solve the past year question paper or a question bank, then out of 50 question you are solving, you try to get 45 correct. 45 correct हो गया, 40 correct हो गया. Still you are wondering, 10 क्यों नहीं हुआ? No, you are above cutoff, right? You should think that I am above cutoff or not. In any practice and anything, if you are getting 70% question done and 30% is still unknown to you, it's all fine. It's okay. Because prelims में कोई top नहीं करता. Prelims is a game just to, get the authority to write the mains examination. That is why it is called main examination. In prelims, you fill the form. In mains, you receive a form. That is the difference. So prelims is a kind of, a screening process where UPSC tell that, okay, you want to write main examination. I'll give you form of the main examination only when you clear the prelims. It's a screening. It should be taken like that only. And for that, you need to be very professional. So that is one thing, that 12 to 15 question, we'll have it. We'll talk about it. Don't worry. Obviously, you won't be able to crack all 15 question out of the 15, but still Everybody should manage to get at least 50% done. If you are from science background, to 70%, 60%. Out of 15, if you are able to crack 7, 8, it's all fine. You are above cutoff. And if you are coming from humanity background and commerce background and you are getting out of 15, 6, 7 you are getting, that is additional. That is what you are getting. I mean, it's additional thing into the entire prelims examination. So we try to develop such a strategy that keep us above the cutoff. That's it, right? When it comes to main examination, then paper 3 is having science and technology. Number of questions would be anywhere between 3 to 5. Very few questions, 3 to 5. Because paper 3 has got lot many things: economy, environment, science, disaster management, internal security. Now the question may be 2, maybe 1, maybe 3, maybe 5. UPSC has no prescribed number that this much question will be asked or this much will not be asked. There is nothing like that. The question is, even if UPSC asks one question from science and you are writing main examination, you cannot afford to lose that question, right? The moment you lose that question, either your rank will go down, and rank तो बाद में आएगा, चलो वो तो बात ही नहीं है अभी. You will be out of the list because the competition over there is very stiff. Anybody who's got selected in UPSC final list, they have done all 20 questions in all the papers, right? Sometimes they write very good. I mean, out of 20 questions, 10 questions they write very good, very nice. 5 questions they write average. 3-2 questions they write below average. But they have that much of information that they can write something in every question. If you don't have any knowledge about a particular thing, then obviously it's a deficiency. It is something which is deficient. And UPSC is known to surprise you. They will ask questions which are totally out of this world. 2013, men's syllabus was changed. Optional was reduced to 1, GS was increased to 4 paper. And they started asking questions like anything. Around that time, they asked a question like, I mean, batsmen put silicone tape on the bat to get undue advantage. What is the principle behind it? Now you tell me, in which classroom we can teach around, I mean, about these kind of thing? Obviously, ये classroom coverage के बाहर की बात है. It is about your, awareness, whether you know it or not, and your scientific temperament. I meet many students and they were like, sir, ये क्या question था? It was something that we never read anywhere. But I remember exactly there was one student and he was happy and he said that, sir, oh, बाकी सारे question हो गए. This question I had to struggle, but I wrote something. Then I said, what did you wrote? So, sir, I wrote that silicon is an insulator, non-conductor. So when this ball will sneak with this, so it will not generate heat. The sensor will not catch it. Sound will not come out. He has written all the possibility on that. He's IPS, by the way, right now. And definitely, I mean, obviously he was not having knowledge, but still the brain functioned over there, right? Because the person is having some scientific knowledge about it and he's from non-science background, but he was able to got this. Now, there is another thing. That is one story, another story. Whosoever was writing the main examination, right? They are not cricketers. First of all, they cleared prelims and they're writing main. It means that they were not cricketer, they were not playing cricket. That is why they are in the main examination. तो किसको आता था ये? किसी को नहीं आता था. जब पूरे लॉट में किसी को नहीं आ रहा तो कुछ भी तो लिखो. फिर तो मैटर होता है कुछ भी लिखो. Because there is a comparative study, comparison. If examiner is having 50 copy, एक तो दिखा कुछ, who is very close to the, the reason, तो he will award marks. ठीक है, marks आपको 20 में से 10 नहीं मिलेंगे, 4 तो मिलेंगे, 5 तो मिलेंगे. That will add on to the total number of marks, right? That is why no matter how hard you do your preparation, in GS also in the main examination, you are supposed to get around 50% marks only. And if you get 50% marks in all GS subjects, तो आप तो top कर जाओगे. It means that game is average only. But the problem is to reach to that average point, we need to work extraordinarily. And we work in a classroom, we work beyond the classroom, and the most important, we work on a strategy also. That how we can increase our ambit, how can we increase our knowledge base so that maximum question, maximum options that is there in my knowledge, and then I'll choose 75 question, I'll take my attempt on that, and then this 75 question will take me above the cutoff list. That is the entire thing. So there is nothing to be get scared. You need to get your strategy right. Moreover, people sometimes think that, okay, science and technology, paper 3 question will manage it. But if I tell you one thing, that we are living in a scientific age, is it right or wrong? Government is using all scientific tools to reach to the people. मतलब ऐप से पहुंच रहे हैं अब तो वो. They are using apps to reach to the आधार बनवा दिया आपका. World biggest, biometric digital data. So if the government is running on the scientific tools and IT tools, how can you expect that without any scientific temperament you can get into the government? They're looking for the people who are having the scientific temperament, because obviously the entire machinery is turning into, IT enabled and digitally and technology enabled governance. That is why the e-governance has been added. You get my point? And that will reflect not only paper 3, it will reflect in paper 1 also. In paper 1 there is geography. In geography there was a question long back that Juno mission that is going to Jupiter, how it can help to study, to know the things about the Earth. So Earth can be studied with the help of Juno mission, how it is possible. So one part is there in science, right? Now the thing is that one person is knowing a lot about geography, all good. But then the person is also know about Juno mission, the space mission. Then integration of both the area can develop a very good answer, right? In paper 3 also, there could be integration. Let's say recently in 2021, we had something like Surrogacy Regulation Act 2021. Now Surrogacy Regulation Act 2021, if it is there in paper 3, then I'll consider it science and technology. But the same act is there in paper 2, then it will be considered as polity, isn't it? This, last parliamentary session, one bill was removed from the procedure, and that bill name was DNA Technology Regulation Bill. That bill was passed in Lok Sabha. In Rajya Sabha discussion was going on, there was a lot of controversy and it was removed. Government took it back. कि ठीक है, pass नहीं कराना. Will come up with the new revamped bill. Now all these things, it's about bill and act. It's a part of polity, but it is very much part of science also. Now in paper 2 also, if they are asking about such bill, you have to write something scientific. Now there is 2 ways. You know only polity, you write the answer. Obviously, answer लिख दिया, ठीक है. But you know the polity, you know the scientific part of it, and then you integrate both things, you create a multidisciplinary verticals in the answers. Then obviously examiner will like it more. अगर एक नंबर भी ज्यादा मिला तो मिला ना. So that scientific temperament is not limited to the 3 question. It is spread all through the GS area. In paper 4, let's say, recently I was taking class and then somebody asked that why can't we clone human being? Cloning is a chapter in biotechnology. We talk about that. We'll talk in the class also. But if cloning of human being is prohibited all over the world, what is the bioethics behind it? Right? So bioethics, you can find it because bioethics is a chapter of ethics. You study about it. But if I tell you that this is how we do cloning, this is a possibility of cloning, this is a problem of cloning, then bioethics and cloning, you merge together, you can get a better answer. You get my point? So lots many things are there, which is, it is interwoven, it is encompassing with each other. UPSC has never told that paper 3 will have economy section, then science section. In the syllabus, is it written economy heading, science and technology heading? Nothing is written. It's just a running text. Point. You have to find it. जब हम शुरू करते हैं तो हम घेरते हैं उसको कि this is economy, this is science, this is environment. Similarly, it will never reflect in the question also. They have all a right to develop a question putting many things together in one question. In economy, you study one topic is there in the syllabus, you know that use of advanced technology in agriculture. है ना? तो क्या advanced technology in agriculture? When we go and we'll cover the science and technology syllabus, so we'll talk about biotechnology and role in agriculture, nanotechnology, role in agriculture, robotics, role in agriculture, space tech, role in agriculture, IT and communication, role in agriculture, nuclear technology, nuclear agriculture. So at least 5 area, and in all 5 area will have some point related to agriculture. Out of this 5 area, biotech will have maximum coverage. Nanotech will have thick-tack coverage because nano urea liquid, you know that. It's nano urea liquid integrated with what? It's agriculture only. So now in science, in every chapter, we are talking about agriculture. Even if we talk about robotics, so there is one chapter and one section that is role of robot in agriculture system. Agro robots. We are going to discuss about it. So by merging all the relevant area at one place, you can get the answer. Role of new technology in agriculture, how agricultural aspect can be improved by using the newer technology. They can ask in 2 ways, right? So it's not about that how many questions you are able to correct it. It's about that how do you develop a kind of temperament and thought process where science is also included. One thing is very much clear. This country is not going to be run without science and technology. So if it is not possible, then how can you think that UPSC will select and UPSC will create a format where science will not be required? Many people come to me and they say, sir, what is the role of science? Why they are asking such question? हमें तो गवर्नमेंट, हमें तो देश चलाना है ना, तो साइंस की जरूरत क्या है? तो देश चलाने में तो हिस्ट्री की भी जरूरत नहीं पड़नी चाहिए फिर, है ना? But if we know the history, then we know more about the country. If we know the culture, we know more about the country. We know the science, then we basically know that how science could play decisive role in the present time. है ना? अभी देखो, National Quantum Mission was started, right? Multi-crore, and India became 7th country in the world to start National Quantum Mission, right? Now this is something that you study in current affairs. And then National Quantum Mission, this much money, this is a ministry, this is the target, this is objectives. But for that you need to understand what is quantum computer, what is quantum technology, what could be the role of it, how the future will use this. Unless you understand the basics of the entire thing, how can you relate with National Quantum Mission? Mission is there, it means some importances are there, and we have to relate with that. So it's not like technology or science that we have studied in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. No, nothing like that. For UPSC preparation, no formula is required. Even if you go with the general science. अब इन्हें एक बात मार्क किया, यूपीएससी ने अगर कभी लिखा कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट, तो यूपीएससी CaCO3 नहीं लिखती, वो क्या लिखती है? कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट इन इंग्लिश. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? कभी दिखा दो मुझे एक भी क्वेश्चन जहां पे लिखा हो CaCO3. दे डोंट आस्क. इसका मतलब क्या है? दे आर नॉट प्रोबिंग इनटू योर साइंस, दे आर प्रोबिंग इनटू योर साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट. उसको कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट CaCO3 नहीं लिखना, राइट? Because UPSC know that many people who are appearing there from history background, geography background, they might have forgot about it. So what they are writing? They are writing calcium carbonate. वो कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट लिख रहा है. वो फोर्स के लिए ऐसा नहीं लिख रहा है कि F is equal to ma. वो F is equal to ma को लैंग्वेज में लिखेगा कि mass and acceleration, then it will generate force. So it's in language. It means what? No formula, no equation, nothing is required. You just need to have the concept of it, right? Now, let's talk about, this is what the coverage is, but now syllabus. If we talk about syllabus, again I'll write general science and technology and the syllabus in prelims and main. So this is tricky part. In prelims syllabus, UPSC has written just one thing, that is general science. If you look into the syllabus, just 2 word has been written, general science, that's it. उसके अलावा कुछ भी नहीं. Prelims का syllabus है भी बहुत छोटा. But if you look into the main syllabus, then you will find some chapters name out there. Let's say biotech, right? Second, nanotech. Let's say robotics. It's written. Then there is space tech. Then fifth one is IT and computers. IT and computers are there, not communication, computers. These are the chapter which is written. ये chapters के नाम हैं उधर, right? Apart from this, UPSC has asked some question which is not mentioned. So there are some area, let's say nuclear tech. So now nuclear technology is not written anywhere, but it's a technology. We have to cover it. Or let's say there is another one, defense tech. Defense tech. Defense technology is not written anywhere, but we have to cover it. If you remember, 2 years back, UPSC asked one question, S-400 air defense system and how it is best air defense system in the world. It's a main syllabus, mains question. So S-400 is air defense system. India acquired it from Russia. And in that question, you have to prove it that it's the best air defense system in the world, that India has got it, right? So it's not mentioned in syllabus, but they have asked question from it. Because obviously, national defense, internal security, we have to study about it. So at least this much chapters are there that we need to cover in mains. So mains looks fine. Mains is okay. Because we have these chapters, and if we cover this chapter along with current affairs, we are sorted. I mean, we will be able to do that, right? But what about prelims? In prelims, the word is just general science. And general science, normally people think general science is physics, chemistry, biology, right? Perfect, no problem with that. But the problem is they don't ask question from there. In the last 10 years, if you go and scan all the question, in the 10-12 years, they have hardly asked 4 or 5 questions from biology, 1 or 2 questions from physics, and almost 0 question from chemistry, right? And I'll tell you that 4 or 5 question or 6, 7 question they asked in biology, that biology question came post-COVID. COVID के बाद आया कि virus can infect. What is B cell? What is T cell? You get my point? So the related to virus and immunity, because after COVID, virus and immunity become very big thing. So they started asking question from there. And obviously it's a core biology, or we can say like immunity only. But then again, general science, I'll also suggest it's a biology, physics, and chemistry, because you need some background to understand the thing that is being taught over here. Right? Now, if they're asking just few questions, 1 or few of them, then from where these general science questions are coming? So, general science questions are coming from this area. You just scan it. If you go look into the past year question paper, you will realize that majority of the question in prelims are being asked from the syllabus which has been prescribed to main examination. Question from nanotech, biotech, space tech, nuclear tech, they are asking, right? So UPSC has never told general science means physics, chemistry, biology. This is what we thought, है ना? UPSC ने तो नहीं लिखा, उसको क्या जाना था लिखने में, लिख देता physics, chemistry, biology. Never written. And anyway, by now you are, because you have been taking classes of optional and the other thing, you know one thing very sure, that what is written in syllabus can give its full meaning. The expression of syllabus is there in question paper. Unless you look into the past year question paper, then you won't be able to understand the syllabus fully. We teachers take the clue from the question paper, and then through question paper we understand what particular word means for UPSC. I mean UPSC ने लिख दिया space tech, तो क्या पढ़ें उसमें, BTech कर लें, है ना? I mean, we have to find the ambit. उसका boundary तो देखना पड़ेगा. And UPSC is not saying boundary. So how we can decide the boundary? By looking into the question paper. कि चलो स्पेस ट्रिक में अब तक कितने क्वेश्चन पूछे, कहां से पूछे, and then we decided, okay, this much will understand, right? So in that way, obviously biology, physics, chemistry, it's a basic thing. NCERT 9th is sufficient to cover it. People do it with the NCERT 9th, right? And I'll tell you that in NCERT 9th, when you are reading, let's say if you have time and you are reading, then you can minimize your load by eliminating all numerical, banana nahi hai, eliminate all formula, eliminate all chemical equation, right? Only text, and especially those texts which are linked to daily life examples. You get my point? Daily life example. There is no point memorizing any definition. There is no point, because by memorizing definition you can never crack a single question in prelims. You must be knowing photosynthesis, na? Sabko pata hoga. And in childhood also we have talked about photosynthesis. Many people, they might have memorized it. Photosynthesis is a process by which plant takes carbon dioxide and water from the environment. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it converts into starch, and oxygen is liberated as byproduct, right? That is what we talk about. 5-6 years back, UPSC asked one question: which of the following statement is true, correct regarding photosynthesis? अब जैसे देखा सब उछल गए कि ये तो बनेगा ही. ऑप्शन में कुछ नहीं था जो जानते थे. मुझे सारे ऑप्शन तो याद नहीं है, लेकिन उसका सही आंसर था इट कन्वर्ट्स फ्री एनर्जी इनटू पोटेंशियल एनर्जी. अब बताओ डेफिनेशन कहां काम आएगा? The biggest challenge in the prelims is what? Question is decided by UPSC. Answer is also decided by UPSC. You fit into that scheme, right? Mains तो फिर भी ठीक है. Question is there from UPSC. You can show your creativity in mains answer because it's up to you. Prelims में तो question भी उनका, answer भी उनका. And then you have to fit yourself into that. That is why the cutoff always goes below 50 only. 44, 45, because that's very difficult. So what they did, they merged two things together, biology and physics, और फिर बनाया, बोला कि photosynthesis सवाल तो पूछ ही सकते हैं, but I'll create a question where normal people, normal student who have basically memorized something will not be able to get that, right? Now the thing is that the same topic in prelims, same topic in mains. So how to master it, how to go about it? I mean, this is important for all of you, because whether you go with the class or not, but if you know this, you can make use of it, right? And the trick is that any topic, let's say any topic is there, obviously the topic is of science and technology, split that topic into 4 parts. One is basic concepts. That is the first thing. Second is applications, sectorial application. Third one is issues, and the fourth one is India and world. You have to create just 4 vertical, just 4, right? Recently ISRO chief made a comment about a space station of India, है ना? तो वो इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया. क्वेश्चन तो मेंस में पहले भी आ चुका है. तो लेट्स से स्पेस स्टेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट. सो हाउ विल यू गो अबाउट इट? 4 थिंग, बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट, व्हाट इज a space station, right? Second, application. What could be the application of it? If a space station is there, what kind of issue it can experience, and what is the position of India in development of a space station, and what is the position of other country of the world who have developed a space station? If you get these 4 points from any article, from any newspaper, your thing is done. So that you can apply on a topic at the micro level, and you can apply at the macro level, like a chapter as well. Pure chapter pe. I'll give you one example. I'll just create a vertical for you so that you can get something out of it. Let's say, if I talk about something called robotics, let's say, because you must be knowing something about robotics. Everybody know about it. So robotics as a chapter must be divided into 4 parts. The first is basic concept. So basic concept is what? What is robot? That means definition of robot. But definition of robot is not for the memorization, for understanding. है ना? कि what is robot? You should be able to differentiate between machine and robot. है ना? जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, all robots are machine, but all machines are not robot. So what is the basic difference between the both? That we need to know. Memorize नहीं करना है, पता होना चाहिए. Similarly, second is what is robotics. Robotics is considered to be multidisciplinary area. Why it is multidisciplinary? What it requires to be a robotist, right? So robotics. Then we talk about robotic system. Robotic system, when I say system, it means different part of robots. What are the different part of robot? A different part of robots means not BTech level, obviously. We just divide into 5 parts: end effector, manipulator, locomotion device, sensor, and controller. And just few lines about it, so that if something coming like end effector word is being used in newspaper and magazine, you should not be feeling alien about it. ये तो पता ही नहीं था. You know the parts of robots, so that you are aware of the terms and terminology. After robotic system, we come to something called types of robots. Robots are divided at various bases. One of the bases of robot is according to the structure of the robot. That is called mechanical robot, which is there in industry. Then there is a humanoid robot. An humanoid robot is of 2 types: android, male-like; gynoid, female-like. So this term should be there with you, na? I mean, knowing it is not a big deal. But while you are writing an answer and you use a word, that Sophia is a gynoid robot, तो वो show करता है ना that you know something about it. And somebody is writing Sophia is a robot which is made as a female. वो भी लिख सकते हो आप. वो भी लिखा, वो भी गलत तो नहीं है ना. But you are writing Sophia is a gynoid robot. Which one look and sound better? Gynoid word. It's a technical word. I mean, examiner को लगेगा कि ठीक है. दोनों को कंपेयर किया जाए तो उसको 1 नंबर, तो इसको 1.5 तो मिलेगा. ज्यादा मिलेगा थोड़ा. So that create vocabulary. The problem is that when we study polity, we create a vocabulary of polity. Geography, vocabulary of geography. History, there is another vocabulary. When it comes to science, then people are so neutral about it that we are using science and technology in our life, but we are always short of words, right terms to explain it. You get my point? And you know that how important is to know the right terms. If you know the right terms, then what will happen? In a limited word, you can convey more. And that is what needed. So that is one type of robot. There is another type of robot. Normally we think robot can do any work better than human being. But it's not always true. And on that category, robot has been divided into 2 parts. Type 1 robot. Type 1 robot are those robots which can perform a work better than the human being. Like drilling robot, cutting robot. Robot can drill better than the human being because robot will not get distracted. If this is a metal piece and I just want to make a hole in between it, just in the center. So robot every time will measure it. Robot sensor will measure it and it will do right onto the center. Accuracy in that kind of work will be 99.9% by robot. But it is proven that any super trained human being can show and give the accuracy of 80%, not more than that. इंसान को बोलोगे तो वो ठीक है करेगा. After 3 days वो कहेगा कि अब तो निशाना लगा के कर सकता हूं. I am trained enough. Distraction will work on human being, right? Mood के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. So in that category, that is called industrial robot. Industrial robot can work better than human being. That is why industry is accepting robots. But then there is a type 2 robot. Type 2 robot are those robots that we use, but they are not better than human being. I'll give you an example. if we have to explore moon surface, so what should we use, robotic rover or human being? Robotic rover use करना चाहिए, वही किया भी हमने, उसका नाम प्रज्ञान था, that was robotic rover only, because we know the risk of life is there. Second Chandrayaan 2 तो फेल हो गया था ना हमारा. Imagine a situation when human being was there. But now you tell me, if we really want to study the moon's surface properly, who will do better study, human being or robot? Human being. Robot will do only those things that instrument and sensor has been placed inside. Right? उस प्रज्ञान में एक LISA करके इंस्ट्रूमेंट था, उसी ने एलिमेंट्स को ढूंढे. And the biggest achievement of प्रज्ञान is that it discovered sulfur. सल्फर ढूंढ लिया, क्योंकि वो उतना पहचान सकता था. इमेजिन ए सिचुएशन कि सल्फर ढूंढ रहा है, सिलिका ढूंढ रहा है, और उसी के बगल में डायमंड पड़ा हुआ है. बट रोबोट इज नॉट हैविंग एनी सेंसर, any pre-written command to look into that. But human being can use intelligence. If you have to go and study about volcanic crater में human being नहीं जाना चाहिए, बस robot भेजते हैं. But who will do better study? Human beings. So whenever it comes to study, analysis, human being. Whenever it comes to mechanical work, then it is robot. So that differentiation should be there. On that basis, basically we differentiate robot and the labor. आप इकोनॉमिक्स में पढ़ते हैं ना, skilled labor, non-skilled labor. So robot is good for non-skilled labor work. Skill labor, where skill is required, that human being will do the thing better. कार की डिजाइनिंग रोबोट नहीं कर सकता, हम करेंगे. चलो अब AI आ रहा है, AI can do it. लेकिन आप इस बात को we'll discuss it, that AI is coming, it is taking care of many things that usually human being used to do. तो ऐसा नहीं कि स्किल खत्म हो रहा है, स्किल स्केल अप हो रहा है. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? ये नीचे का बेसिक स्किल खत्म हो गया तो ऊपर कुछ तो बना होगा. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? सो दैट इज हाउ इट इज शिफ्टिंग, एंड दैट इज इनएविटेबल, दैट इज बाउंड टू हैपन. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो इन टाइप्स ऑफ रोबोट ओनली. एंड देन एट द लास्ट वी टॉक अबाउट लॉज ऑफ रोबोटिक्स. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड लॉज ऑफ रोबोटिक्स, एंड लॉज ऑफ रोबोटिक्स prohibit us to use robot in defense sector. I mean, laws of robotics says simple one thing, that robot should not kill the human being. There is a very famous story writer, fiction writer, whose name is Asimov. You might have heard the name. Asimov has given this law of robotics, and law of robotics is nothing but the ethical laws given by it. That's a part of ethics also. So all these things are basic concept. Basic concept का मतलब है कि that you should know. Once you know it, then you can go to this. Now the second area, application in robotics. For that you have to read the newspaper, magazine, and look into the world scenario which is there around us. Then we realize that all over the world, robots are being used maximum in industry, right? So at number 1, industry. I mean, it's there. And for that, data is there. We'll go with the data only. And data will come from, there is an organization called International Federation of Robotics, IFR. And if you look into the IFR data, China is world leader in industrial robot adaptation. In last year, China installed maximum industrial robot in a country-wise ranking, around 260,000 robot. India has installed around 5,000 robot. So that study need to be done. And India 5,000 means it's progressively going up. There was 32,000, 3,200, then it was around 4,000, now it is 5,000. So industry is the area. So industry is the area, then the question is why, what are the benefit, right? Why industry are so open to accept robot? And obviously when industry is so open to accept the robot, then it will lead to economical issue with the economics. Unemployment ठीक है, लेकिन unemployment कह के तो मामला हो नहीं सकता ना यूपीएससी का. मेरा बेटा 8th में पढ़ता है, वो बता रहा था मुझे कि पापा robots will be there, then it will lead to unemployment. So if 8th class student can tell, you are supposed to tell something else, right? तो linear है, economics है. Unemployment will lead to devaluation of labor. Devaluation of labor will lead to decrease in purchasing power. Decrease of purchasing power will lead to what? Economic slowdown. It's cascading effect. We have to calculate. We have to integrate economics over here. और एक बात तो तय, मैं अभी बता देता हूं कि अगर कभी रोबोटिक्स से कोई सवाल आया, chances are very high it will be not of robotics, it will be of economics. लास्ट क्वेश्चन विच रोबोटिक्स से जो आया था, लास्ट क्वेश्चन जो आया था, अभी तक एक ही क्वेश्चन आया मेंस में, और वो क्वेश्चन ये था, मैं बता देता हूं, यूज ऑफ रोबोट इन प्रोहिबिटिव लेबर, राइट? यूज ऑफ रोबोट इन प्रोहिबिटिव लेबर. अब प्रोहिबिटिव लेबर, many people who are writing main examination, they got to know about this term first time in their life. And I'll tell you that whether you write prelims or mains, there will be many terms that you will see first time in your life. No matter how many days you have stayed in Karol Bagh, Rajendra Nagar, and how many classes you have done, UPSC is way above everything. लेकिन वहीं पे है, I mean, people manage to write it. Prohibitive labor means labor which is prohibited to human being. In robotics, there is a concept, and the concept of 3D. Many scientists suggested that robots should be used along with the human being in 3Ds: dull, dirty, and dangerous work. Dull work, dirty work, dangerous work. Dull work are non-skilled work. Human being is basically, having a screwdriver, and from 9 to 5, the human being is basically driving a screw, hammering onto the metal, drilling something. It's non-skilled work. And in India, if any non-skilled worker is there, it's not good for us. Human brain is creative. आप कहोगे नहीं, ये तो बहुत एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलता है ना उनको. ठीक है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलता है, बट इफ यू लुक एट द बिगर पिक्चर, why they are in non-skilled work? Because they are not educated enough. They are not trained. Why they are not trained? Because our government's plan and policy could not reach to them. And you know that in economics it is well said that if you don't have any skill, if you are a non-skilled worker, then your employment is not guaranteed. मैं अपने ड्राइवर को फायर नहीं कर सकता. आज ड्राइवर नहीं आया, मैं खुद गाड़ी चला गया, एंड आई एम रियली, उसके पेट में दर्द है, एंड आई एम रियली होपिंग कि कल तक दर्द ठीक हो जाए. Although I can drive, but 3 classes are here, there, I have to move around. Right? लेकिन अगर घर में कोई जो डस्टिंग करने वाले लोग होते हैं ना, अगर मुझे थोड़ा भी लगा कि he is not doing good, she is not doing good, I'll fire. Because I'll get another one. ड्राइवर में फिर भी 2 दिन टाइम लगेगा, डस्टिंग में तो 1 दिन में नहीं लगेगा, 1 घंटे नहीं लगेंगे. You get my point? So नॉन स्किल्ड वर्कर का तो ऐसे भी इकोनॉमिक्स में कोई स्कोप नहीं है. हम लोग पढ़ते हैं ना, हम लोग बहुत सारी बातें कर रहे हैं अभी कि दिस इन इंडिया अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट इज गोइंग वेरी हाई. तो पीपल डोंट हैव प्रॉपर कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट. बेसिकली एम्प्लॉयमेंट इज डिमांडिंग स्किल सेट, एंड द पॉपुलेशन इज, एम्प्लॉयमेंट का स्किल सेट यहां पहुंचा हुआ है, और हम सब का स्किल सेट कहां है? यहां है. तो कहां से होगा एम्प्लॉयमेंट? दैट इज वाई द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज हैविंग स्किल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, कौशल विकास कार्यक्रम. ITI में एडमिशन तेरे फ्री में आओ. In 9th and 10th, they started vocational training. Why? Because government knows that non-skilled worker will not have. Robot will replace them. So dull work, dirty work, the work which is not dignified for human being. In Delhi only, there is a robot which is being used to clean the sewer. That is called Bandicoot, developed by Andhra Pradesh company, Gen Robotics. So Bandicoot is Indian robot. It is being used for the sewer cleanage. And you know that sewer cleanage all across India has killed many people. Dignity तो चलो बात की बात है, वो तो लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग है, and undignified भी. So dull, dirty and dangerous. Like I told you that volcanic eruption हो रहा है, वहां जाके पढ़ना है, क्रेटर के अंदर जाना है, स्पेस एक्सप्लोरेशन करना है. Put the robot. We are sending Gaganyaan, and in the Gaganyaan we are sending Vyomitra robot first. Then we'll send the human being. Gaganyaan is not just one go, it's a 3 flights, first and second. So in first and second, any of these 2, we are going to use a robot. A robot name is Vyomitra, developed by ISRO, so that we can study the impact of this human, flight to the space and impact onto the human body. Because this Vyomitra robot has got all the sensor inbuilt in the body which can understand the gravitational pull, the pressure, all kind of space radiation and everything, and then human being will be sent. So prohibitive labor, dull, dirty, dangerous, and on that you have to construct the answer. अब बताओ इसमें कहाँ रोबोटिक्स, साइंस कहाँ है? Where is science? Science है ही नहीं. If you go through the mains question of last 10 years and you segregate all science question, you will hardly find that 20% questions are basically scientific. जैसे इस बार जो क्वेश्चन पूछा चंद्रयान 3 को, वो साइंटिफिक था. And that can be asked because Chandrayaan 3, everybody, my father will tell at least 5-6 points out of this question. इतना टीवी देखे वो. So you are the UPSC aspirant. You must be knowing that how many parts are there, how many sensors are there, whatever you know. Otherwise, in science also, they are not asking science. They are asking its application, its issues and concern. Similarly, the second most important area is health. Health section. रोबोटिक सर्जरी आपने सुना होगा ना, कितना अभी चल रहा है पूरे इंडिया में रोबोटिक सर्जरी. एंड रोबोटिक सर्जरी तो फिर भी पुराना हो गया. नाउ डेज वी आर बेसिकली गोइंग अप विद द टेली रोबोटिक सर्जरी. टेली रोबोटिक्स मींस मेदांता गुड़गांव, डॉक्टर विल बी एबल टू ऑपरेट मेदांता लखनऊ, है ना, तो ऐसे कनेक्ट कर देंगे एंड द डॉक्टर विल बी एबल टू ऑपरेट. ऑब्वियसली लोकल डॉक्टर टीम्स विल बी देयर, but there is no need to fly the doctor from Delhi to Lucknow to operate one patient. Rather, doctor be there. And that is called Da Vinci surgical system. It's a very famous one. If you search, you will find the diagram, photograph, everything. It's already being used. So that is surgery, health. Then third area is home environment. Robots are being used in home environment. Vacuum cleaning robot is there. And the price is around 15,000 to 25,000. It's not a big deal. People are buying it. And many such robots are there. Then very controversial area, defense. Robots in defense technology. Right? Then obviously, if we are talking about any technology and if we don't talk about agriculture, it won't be good. Robot in agriculture. Right? So all that area we need to identify. Role in robot in disaster management. Disaster management. So these are the area. These are major area we have identified. There will be many minor area. And once we study the application, then we'll realize that robot has got some big issues and concerns also. Economic, I told you. Then there is something called human-robot coexistence. Human-robot coexistence. It's a concern. It has got some positive thing, some negative thing. Obviously, human-robot coexistence is a reality. It is going to be reality. Some way or other, we are also going to use human-robot coexistence in our lifetime only. Now, what should be the extent of it? Scientists and people, they have made robot very close to the human being. There are many robots where the physical difference between humans and robot has been minimized. Sophia is one of them. So what kind of world it will create? That is something. So these are the issues and concern: economic aspect, human-robot coexistence, health issue. Health is also a concern in that. And then we'll talk about India and robotics. Development of robotics in India. So here the topic is what? Development of robotics in India. And I'll tell you because there is one organization that is called CIR, Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. This is government-backed organization. It used to be part of DRDO. Now it is independently working, autonomous body. But then it has done research only. Robotics is one such thing where the private company need to come in. Government इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं करेगी. And private company कैसे आएगी? Because robotics is a multidisciplinary area which require a lot of investment to start it. So IITians, they are capable enough. They are talented enough. They are flying from India, getting to the other country, and they are world famous robotists nowadays. But when they are willing to work in India, no support was there. So in 2014, AICRA was developed, All India Council for Robotics and Automation. And AICRA provide administrative, financial, and collaborative support to these youngsters who are willing to do. And that is why now in India, there are dozens of robotic company which is functioning now. You got my point? So we have to look into that. And then obviously we have to compare with the world. International cooperation in robotics. That what kind of international cooperation we are having, right? So that is how we dissect the topic. You get my point? And I'll tell you one more thing, that if you look at the entire scenario, this basic concept is more about prelims, less about mains, right? So when you read the basic concept, at that time you should remind yourself that prelims का ज़्यादा focus है. So understanding should be there, right? Proper one, not try to memorize things. When it comes to application, prelims and mains equal. When it comes to issue and concern, it more toward mains, less towards prelims. And this is again prelims and mains equal. One topic will serve all purpose, right? And obviously we can have such differentiation in every topic. दो टॉपिक छोड़ के सब में ऐसा डिफरेंशिएशन कर सकते हैं. बायोटेक में नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज इट्स अ बिग टॉपिक. बट इन बायोटेक ऑल्सो विल डू इट एट द चैप्टर लेवल. जैसे कि स्टेम सेल. सो स्टेम सेल बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट. All the whats will be explained over there. What is a stem cell? What is the role of a stem cell? What are the different types of a stem cell? So this is the basic concept. Now application. Application is a stem cell therapy. So what is a stem cell therapy? What are the kind of disease that we can treat with the stem cell? How do we preserve the stem cell? What is the stem cell banking? What is cryopreservation? That we are going to get into the application. Then we'll come to the issues and concerns. That what is the roadblocks? Why India is not doing so good in stem cell research? We are good at stem cell banking only. Why things are not progressing the way it should progress in India? And then we also talk about in laboratories, in organization, and the world level achievements. Hai na? So there we do it at the topic level. Anything topic level. Now, one question would come because now you know that we have to split the topic into basic concept, application, issues and concern, India and world. अब एक टॉपिक ये आता है कि where is current? Science and technology current will not make any sense to you unless you have read the topic. क्योंकि आपको पता ही नहीं कि पढ़ना क्या है. So for you, current is a news. And the news is what? It's a flow of information for you. It's a data and information. But once you know the entire ambit, अब रोबोटिक्स में कुछ अगर छपा तो कहीं तो फिट कर लोगे इसमें. इसी में कहीं फिट होगा ना. इंडिया ने कोई स्टेप ले लिया तो फिट करोगे कहां पे? अच्छा CIR, AICRA, एक और आ गया जी, डालो यहां पे. That is how the current will be yours. You got my point? Otherwise you make a copy of current events. So you are not making copy of current affairs, you are making current events. और वो पूरा मामला हो जाता है याद करने का. और याद करने में तो एकदम प्लेन एंड क्लियर में बोल रहा हूं, याद किया हुआ नहीं आता. नहीं आता. सिंपल है. किसी साल का क्वेश्चन उठा लो, 20 क्वेश्चन आते याद किए हुए और वो सब बनाते हैं. पूरा राजेंद्र नगर बनाता है उसको. मैं उस 20 की बात कर रहा हूं जो लास्ट के 20 है. उस लास्ट के 20 में से हमें 10 सही करने होते हैं बस. उसमें 10 गलत होता है क्योंकि वो कंफ्यूजन से बनते हैं ना. उसके बारे में आपको आंसर ही नहीं पता. इट्स योर हंच एंड योर बैकग्राउंड विल टेल कि ये सही हो सकता है. आप एक बात बताओ ना. आई विल बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट बिकॉज मैं अभी क्लास ले रहा था तो मैंने बोला भी कि इट्स नाउ इट्स 16th ईयर ऑफ माय लाइफ इन यूपीएससी टीचिंग. तो मुझे निर्वाणा मिल चुका है. मतलब मैंने अपनी लाइन खींच ली है कि अब हो गया. अब जो ढंग से पढ़ रहा है पढ़ाओ, नहीं तो पढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो आई एम ओपन विद माई ट्रेड सीक्रेट्स. सीक्रेट ऑफ द ट्रेड में बता देता हूं. आप एक बात बताओ, नोबडी विल टेल यू. व्हेनेवर द प्रीलिम्स विल हैपन. कोई ऐसा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इंस्टीट्यूट है पूरे इंडिया में जिसने सारे क्वेश्चन सही एक बार में बता दिया हूं? इंस्टीट्यूट के वश की बात नहीं है. आप सोच लो. और 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 अब तो वो भी आने लगा. अब तो मैंने देखा एक बार एक इंस्टीट्यूट ने क्लेम किया कि फॉर द सेकेंड थर्ड टाइम consequently we have provided the most accurate answer sheet with only 3 errors. आप समझ रहे हो? कलेक्टिव पूरा कंटेंट टीम बैठ के और वो 3 एरर के साथ आंसर रिलीज कर रहे हैं. तो आप अपनी बात समझ लो, हमारी बात समझ लो. तो ये 20 क्वेश्चन जो लास्ट के होते हैं ना, इट इज ऑलवेज कमिंग आउट ऑफ द कंफ्यूजन. वॉट एवर यू रेड, वॉट यू हैव परसीव्ड, 20 में से 10 सही हो जाएगा. That is why any candidate who gives the prelims, वो prelims तो 3 घंटे देता है, लेकिन उसके बाद 3 दिन तक वो आंसर ढूंढता है, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि these are the 5 question will decide my fate, and for that he will go to that institute, this institute, इस institute के हिसाब से ये हो रहा है, उसके हिसाब से वो हो रहा है, and finally UPSC come up with that. So वो fact से नहीं बनता. UPSC is not about fact, 20% fact and information. There is a very simple thing in UPSC preparation. Yesterday I was in Hyderabad and I was taking classes over there. So somebody asked us, sir, what it takes to kill a UPSC? Then I said that it takes wisdom. You need to have wisdom for that. The question is how to generate wisdom. That cannot be generated by teachers and student interaction. Teacher can only show you the way, path, but wisdom is very subjective thing. Your wisdom is yours, his is his, her is her. So wisdom तक पहुंचते कैसे वो बता सकता हूं मैं. We start with fact and knowledge. The starting point is what? Fact and knowledge. You know that whenever a teacher comes, they talk about, I'll also talk about, in India surrogacy started in 2002, then this year, that year, organizations and all. This is what? It's a fact and information. Because fact and information is a tool to transfer the knowledge, right? So fact and information that lead to knowledge, and if you assimilate knowledge in your brain, if you apply it properly, then it is called wisdom. Application of knowledge is very important, and there UPSC is not willing to get the knowledge out of you. They are looking for wisdom. फैक्ट एंड नॉलेज से क्या निकला? ये जितने वनडे वाले एग्जाम होते हैं ना, जितने वनडे वाले बैंक पीओ, एसएससी, ये फैक्ट एंड नॉलेज से फैक्ट एंड इंफॉर्मेशन से निकलता है. फैक्ट एंड इंफॉर्मेशन, ऑल्दो दे हैव मैथ्स एंड ऑल टू टेस्ट द आईक्यू लेवल, बट फॉर उनका जीएस पेपर देख लो आप. उनका जीएस ऐसा होता है कि मिल्क इज येलो इन कलर, व्हाई? इट्स इंफॉर्मेशन, यू नो इट और यू डोंट. यानी येलो कलर ऑफ मिल्क इज ड्यू टू विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग पिगमेंट, वो वाला उनका होता है. दैट इज फैक्ट एंड इंफॉर्मेशन, राइट? इफ यू हैव क्रैक्ड or if you appeared for NEET examination or IIT examination, then they basically look for fact, information and knowledge. But UPSC will look for what? Wisdom. Now I'll tell you one example of it. The fact is, that's a botany fact, botany में लिखा हुआ है कि anything which contains seed inside is fruit. That is the definition of fruit. Fruit is a ripened ovary which contains seed inside. Let's say apple is fruit, seed inside. Banana is fruit because seed होता है banana में. अब हमने उसका variety बना लिया seedless. For that matter, tomato is also fruit because it has got seed inside. Lawki is also fruit because it has got seed inside. Brinjal is also fruit because it has got seed inside. It's a knowledge. So one fact has directed towards a knowledge when you realized that according to science, this lawki, brinjal, tomato, these all are fruits along with this mango, lychee and watermelon. That is fine. You are getting the right information and you are converting this information into the right kind of knowledge. But wisdom is something else. Let's say if I come to your office after your selection and you tell me, sir, fruit salad mangwata hu aapke liye. And in the bowl you are having brinjal, lawki, एंड टोमेटो तो फिर भी चल जाएगा, चलो लेडी फिंगर विद 1 or 2 pieces of mango, तो उसको क्या खाऊंगा मैं? So wisdom says that okay, it's fine. Anything which contains seed inside is fruit, but wisdom is that when you are making fruit salad, then don't put these raw things into it. Just stick to the watermelon, papaya, mango, another thing. Don't put brinjal into that. That is what wisdom is. You get my point? So the path to wahi hai. Fact and information that has given you the knowledge, and how do you use knowledge is the wisdom. I'll tell you another reality, that fact and information and knowledge, this is our interaction. This is about teacher and student, mentor and student basically. Teacher तो हम लोग है नहीं, टीचर वो होते हैं जो प्राइमरी स्कूल, सेकेंडरी स्कूल, कॉलेज में पढ़ाते हैं, राइट? हाँ, वी आर प्रोफेशनल्स, राइट? इन दैट वे वी टॉक, देन इट विल बी गुड ना, मतलब आपको भी लगेगा ये सर्विस लेना है ना? सो दैट इज हाउ वी कैन डू, लाइक up to knowledge we can talk about, but wisdom is very subjective thing. Your wisdom is different from his wisdom, and two persons wisdom can never be same, and they are looking for a point, a wisdom level कि इतना लेवल का wisdom अगर आ गया तो प्रीलिम्स में इतने क्वेश्चन बन जाएंगे, मेंस में आंसर ऐसे लिख लेंगे, इंटरव्यू में इस तरह से आप बोल लेंगे, and that is how the things goes on, right? Anyway, so this is what we are going to follow in all through, and many people have a fear that whether this basic concepts will be there or not. Obviously we cannot go with the NCERT teaching in the class, because for that there is a lot of NCERT courses which are available in the online sphere. If anybody is having having time and want to devote something for that, you can go with the NCERT online courses that you can avail from anywhere, or you can read on your own. But yes, one thing is there, wherever in this entire coverage some basic concept will be needed, I'll explain that first and then we'll talk about it. Rather, the lecture is planned in such a way that we start with very basic thing, so that when we enter into the real discussion, then you do not feel any shortcoming कि अच्छा वायरस की बात हो रही है and we don't know about the virus, so we'll discuss it, then we'll move on to that. Wherever it is required, we'll talk about that inside. तो नॉर्मली मैं बोर्ड पे एक साइड में ऐसे कर देता हूं, एंड देन आई से दिस इज बेसिक बायोलॉजी, एंड देन लेट्स अप्लाई इट ओवर देयर. I mean, it's not like that we can go with each and everything, because obviously NCERT पढ़ना फिर तो एक महीना उसमें भी लग जाएगा, and that is not required in that way, right? So let's go with something. I mean, obviously this is about a strategy. Current affairs को इसी में फिट करना है. NCERT book जनरल साइंस के लिए, if you can do it, good enough. Not so we can give it the class also. Second thing, there is no book available for the science and technology, because all the thing that you get in the market is guide. वो guide है, book नहीं है, book हो भी नहीं सकता. And guides are not useful because guides is already 1 year old. मार्केट में प्रिंट होके रखा है तो 1 साल पुराना तो पहले ही से, और आप 1 साल बाद एग्जामिनेशन दोगे, तो योर गाइड विल बिकम ऑलमोस्ट 2 and more year old by the time you are giving examination. So that is not having any current thing. Science and technology is driven by current affairs. Current affair background में चल रहा होता है, and current affair is something else. There is something called current, and the current has got context. UPSC asks question from context, not current. Face value पे क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछता, very rarely. अब चंद्रयान 3 पूछ दिया सीधा सीधा उठा के, because it's a big event. Otherwise, you have to keep eye on the small things, and then the small thing will indicate towards something which is fundamental. They ask question about fundamental. An example you can see very clearly that India started National Quantum Mission, and there was another NMQTA, National Mission on Quantum Technology and Application, in 2021. And for the first time, PT explore quantum technology, and the first question was what? Qubit is related to what? Quantum computer. अभी तक तो नहीं पूछा. 2015 से मैं क्वांटम कंप्यूटर पढ़ा रहा हूं, and they never asked. But last year only in 2022 prelims they asked first time. मतलब 7 साल के बाद पहला क्वेश्चन उससे आया, और वो था qubit. Qubit is very basic thing. If you read about quantum computer in a first 5-4 line, you will come across the word qubit. But why did they ask this year only? Because India has already geared up for quantum technology development program. So if the program is rolled out, money has been given, so obviously this topic has become important. So they didn't ask the program and the name of the program, who initiated, under which ministry, this nothing was asked. What they asked, one fundamental related to that program. Background से जाके question पूछा. So that is, it happens. India started cloning. In 2009, we got the first clone, right? In NDRI Karnal. And the question was that SCNT is related to what? SCNT is somatic cell nuclear transfer technology that is used in cloning. So they are not asking that which one is the first clone animal of India, where cloning is done in India, what is the purpose of cloning. What they are asking is a basic concept. Current se uthaya. So that is why guide is not something that will be very useful. Obviously, if you want to have it, you can keep it one, right? So let's talk about, and we'll start something today so that we can have some information about it. And the first topic that we are going to discuss is biotech, because this is the biggest topic. In this way, you will understand that how the things need to be done. Biotech, right? So biotech, there is a word called bio, and that bio word comes from biology. So we need to have something related to biology also, some basic background of it. And biology, in a most common term, is nothing but study of life or study of living beings. That is what we call. This is the definition is. I mean, life is okay, fine, but life से ज़्यादा बढ़िया term कौन सा है? Living being. Because whenever, I mean, if somebody asks, okay, study of life, what is life? So what is life is a question that we all are basically looking for the answer. है ना? So better to shift our focus on living beings. Now the question is, what are living beings? What are the characteristics of living beings? Very basic. 6th class में पढ़ा था आपने. We are going to revisit the 6th class with some different perspective. So living being and characteristics. Characteristics. Now you can tell me, अगर आपको कुछ याद हो तो बताइए. Growth और कुछ. Movement, growth, yes. Reproduction, very good. ठीक है. Yes, lot many things are there. But the first thing that we put in it reproduction. And reproduction become, I mean, according to popular belief, it is reproduction that can differentiate between living and non-living. I mean, if reproduction is there, it's living. If it's not there, then we can have doubt. That is the first thing. Why it is there, we'll talk about it. Second one is cell structure. No life can be possible without cell. Every life form is made up of cell. Whether it is bacteria or human being, it is made up of cell. Third, like you were saying that growth, movement, breathing, digestion, all these things collectively known as metabolism. What we call it? Metabolism. Right? That can be collectively known as metabolism. And the last thing that we can go is adaptation. Adaptation. Let's keep it 4 only. I will try to understand. These are the characteristics of living beings: reproduction, cell structure, metabolism, adaptation. Right? Now, metabolism is something. It's not like that life has no definition. Life has got definition. In biology also, life. There is a definition of life. You know that life originated chemically? I mean, there is a question that how life originated. It's a chemical origin. Life originated from chemical. And our life is due to the chemical process which is going on in our body. And all the chemical process put together is known as metabolism. So life is nothing but the total sum of chemical reaction that is going inside the body. And because this chemical reaction is going inside the body, that is why it is called biochemical reaction. What we call it? Biochemical reaction. That is life. So this metabolism can also be known as, it is also known as biochemical reaction. It is called biochemical reaction. So metabolism is biochemical reaction. No matter what you do and what is happening in your body, it's all biochemical reaction. Even muscular movement is physiochemical reaction. It's a biochemical reaction. Muscle movement may be ions involved, right? And that is how the muscle is basically relaxing and contracting, because there is a chemical reaction going on. When you think, it's a chemical reaction inside. Neurons are engaged in chemical reaction. Digestion is purely chemical reaction. Enzymes are working on that. We study that a starch will be digested into glucose. Glucose get inside the cell. Glucose breaks down into carbon dioxide and water, and energy comes out. It's again what? It's a chemical reaction. We eat protein, the protein get digested, it forms amino acid release ammonia get converted into urea get eliminated from the body. Again, it is what? Chemical reaction. So this all chemical reaction which is occurring inside the body is known as metabolism. We breathe air has got 21% oxygen. Hemoglobin react with oxygen, it makes oxyhemoglobin, then this is spread all through the body, and then oxidation of glucose occur. This is again chemical reaction. So all the chemical reaction put together, that is called metabolism. And let me tell you one thing, that if you want to do, I mean, you can imagine that how many chemical reactions are going on in one body, in one cell. Hundreds of chemical reactions are going on simultaneously. If I tell you that every one of us are going to do some chemical reaction, then obviously we'll enter into the lab. In the lab, every one of us will secure some test tube, beaker, flask, and then we'll put the chemicals. It's not like that we are going to put all the chemicals at one place, because 100 types of chemical reaction need to be done. So for that, 100 setups are required, and all setups should be separate, so that we can give direction to the chemical reaction. मैंने ये बनाया, आपने वो बनाया. What will happen if I put all the chemicals in one particular box? Then what will happen? It will blast. It will give nothing. So for different type of chemical reaction, different type of equipments are needed to separate them, to give direction, to get the product out of it. And cell is the setup. Cell is that setup. Cell is a setup where different type of biochemical reaction takes place. In a mitochondria, oxidation is going on. Glucose is breaking down, energy is coming out. That is one setup. Ribosome is there. We'll talk about that all. जितना नाम ले रहा हूं सब हम पढ़ेंगे. Ribosome is something where protein synthesis is going on, right? Golgi body is something where protein are getting stored, converted into enzyme and hormones. ER is something where lipids are being made. You get my point? In one cell, we have different compartments, and all these compartments are assigned with a particular type of chemical reactions to carry out. That is why they are not mixing with each other. That is why we say that no cell, no metabolism. Like the way, if you want to do a chemical reaction, then for that chemical reaction, you need a laboratory and the equipment. Similarly, if the life is metabolism and biochemical reaction, then obviously we need a setup to carry out this metabolism. A setup would be required. And what is that setup? Cell is that setup. No cell, no metabolism. As simple as this. And we'll prove it. We'll talk about it. If cell is not there, metabolism will not be there. And if there is no metabolism, there is no life. Life is metabolic activity. Now, you tell me one thing. Chemical reactions are occurring inside the cell, and chemical reactions fairly of two types. There are certain chemical reaction which can give rise to product. Constructive reaction. कह सकते हैं? Reaction which construct something. And construct something means what? Matter, material, product. will come up. And there are destructive chemical reaction where we break down something, energy will come out. पेट्रोल का ब्रेकडाउन करते हैं, ये पेट्रोल जो हम जलाते हैं गाड़ी में, it's again a chemical reaction. You oxidize petrol, you break petrol into water and carbon dioxide, and when you break something, energy will come out. Right? That is called combustion. But combustion is basically what? Oxidation of petrol. In chemical, it is oxidation. So in our body also there are two things. Construction that leads to matter. That leads to matter. Matter could be protein, it could be lipid, it could be anything else. And there is something called destructive reaction. Destructive is not destructing us. It's just breakdown reaction. And breakdown reaction will lead to energy. You got my point? Now you imagine this metabolism is going on in a cell. Right? And metabolism is going on in a full phase, in a full flow. Good metabolic activity is going on. Lots of breakdown is going on. Lots of construction is going on. So cell will have what? Lots of matter and lots of energy. In this universe, everything is made up of matter and energy, right? Even our body is made up of what? Matter and energy. This biomass is matter. And the sound which is coming out, it is because of the energy. If I say that I am also made up of matter and energy, so I am made up of basically cells. So cells are also made up of what? Matter and energy. And in cell, matter and energy is surplus. So cell will divide. Because cell will not be able to handle that much matter and that much energy. So cell will divide. And the moment cell divides, it will be known as reproduction. So this is linked to this is linked to this. You got my point? Now you see why scientists has suggested that you should take reproduction at the very first place. It's just because reproduction will occur only when cell will divide. Cell will divide only when the cell will have surplus energy, surplus matter. Surplus matter and surplus energy will come only when the metabolic activity is going on in a proper way. So now 1, 2, 3 is not different. It is same. It's about cell. How can it be different? सब एक ही चीज है लगभग. It's just a way to explain it. At the core, it's metabolism. No metabolism, no life. No cell, no metabolism. If metabolism is not there, obviously reproduction will not be there because life is not there. That is the thing. Now adaptation is something else. Adaptation is parallelly something else. Adaptation is that living organism has a very unique feature that according to changing environment, they can make changes in themselves. And that is why we have survived all through the year. And I'll tell you that adaptation can be of two types, short term and long term. Short term means that change is temporary, just to save from some harm effect, and it can be corrected back. Let's say if you go and stand in the sunlight for 2 hours. So what happens? Tanning happens. Tanning is short-term adaptation. It is adaptation, short-term. Because in sunlight there is ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet radiation can damage your skin. It can cause skin cancer. And to fight with ultraviolet radiation's damaging effect, body has its own adaptation mechanism. That is called melanin. Melanin will spread. It will come closer to the skin surface, and then what will happen? The impact of ultraviolet radiation will be minimized. You might have seen, experienced, the people who are very, very fair, they have allergy to sun rays. वो सही बोल रहे हैं बेचारे. ऐसा नहीं कि उनका वो स्वैग है, ऐसा नहीं. It's, है ना? होता है ना फैमिली में कोई बहुत फेयर है. मेरा छोटा भाई है वो बहुत फेयर है. And he go out in the sun, he get, rashes. Yahan red, yahan red, yahan red. In the sunlight, he doesn't look white. He look, pinkish. या फिर आप देखो ना, मेट्रो में कभी चले जाओ आप कभी, और if you come across any European, समझ गए? वो दूर से अच्छे लगते हैं. Distance is there, then ठीक है. हम लोग तो ऐसे ही है ना कि थोड़ा यूरोप या कहीं के भी बाहर के लोगों को देखते हैं तो थोड़ा सा एक बार देख लेते हैं कि हाँ भाई यूरोप से आया है, गेस्ट है, अरे गेस्ट के रूप में देखते हैं. बट इफ दे कम क्लोज टू यू, यू विल रियलाइज कि पूरे फेस पे क्या है, डॉट 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 बने हुए, वो इधर आके हुआ है उनको. Because I mean, and for that reason, I'll tell you that in Europe and above, I mean, sub-Arctic area जो है ना, their skin cancer is a problem. वहां का कैंसर का मैनेज क्या है? स्किन कैंसर. हमारे यहाँ नहीं है. स्किन कैंसर की बात हम कहां करते हैं? वी टॉक अबाउट लंग कैंसर, ओरल कैंसर एंड स्किन कैंसर नहीं. Why? Because in their body melanin is very less. In our body melanin is fairly good. And if you go out in the sun, melanin will increase. It is to protect you. It's a short-term adaptation. If you come back home, stay indoor for 2 days, you will get back to the normal color. But now, if you look at the Indian population from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, if you travel down, then you will realize that as we travel down towards south, you will find the complexion is getting darker and darker. That is long-term adaptation. Because as you go closer to the equator, the sun rays will be stronger. Ultraviolet radiation will be higher. And that is how genetics work. That is how biology work. They have made these changes permanently in them. That is now ingrained in the DNA. And they are having darker complexion. If you look at the equator, I mean, पूरे globe में equator के पास चले जाओ आप, an original inhabitant of equatorial region, they are essentially darker in complexion. That's the biology. Although human beings have migrated all over the world now, but still you will find there are people who are living there, the native people. The native people are essentially darker in complexion if they are living around equator, right? Native people in subarctic region, they are very fair because there the sunlight is oblique, ultraviolet radiation is less, and they are not having that exposure to it. That is what? It's a long-term adaptation. So this can be, adaptation can be short-term, and it could be long-term. And long-term adaptation, we call it evolution. What we call it? Evolution. So that is also living. अब बताओ इसमें क्या समझने का है? It's an easy one. I mean, you know that characteristic of life, reproduction. Why reproduction? Because cell has got lot of matter and energy, could not handle. So one cell divided into two so that it can be divided. Why did this cell get this lots of energy and matter? Because of the metabolism going on in the cell. So all three things are together, and then it is also linked with that. In the coming time, we'll discuss about it. Now, we have studied about it. Let's talk about one thing more. There is something which is called connecting link between living and non-living. And this is virus. What is that? Virus. Now you know that virus is very important because of the COVID. And we have to talk about it. बात तो करनी पड़ेगी. But virus is connecting link between living and non-living. I mean, virus is the only entity biologically present on this earth where you cannot be sure when it is living, when it is non-living. That is why scientists have said that let's put it as a connecting link. That means at the same time it is living and non-living. So why it is living? That we'll talk about it. So they are living because they can reproduce. Reproduction is there. That is why they are living. And they are non-living because they don't have cell, no cell structure. And if there is no cell structure, there is no metabolism. So if cell structure and metabolism is not there, how can you say that it is living? So only thing which makes virus living, that it has ability to reproduce. But they reproduce only when they are present inside the cell, when they are present inside the living. If the virus is present on this table, then this virus is non-living. It's like a dust particle. It will degrade. It will degrade like any chemical. It's non-living. But when this virus get into my body, your body, then this virus will act like living organism. You know that virus don't have cell, and if you look at the virus structure, let's say I'm making a virus structure. Virus is like this. The most common diagram that you have seen of virus in a newspaper, magazine, everywhere, they make it like this, right? देखा होगा ना इस तरह से. And then this is something it has got. नहीं देखा कोई बात नहीं. Right? So what is there? This green part, all green part, it is made up of protein. And this part is DNA or RNA. It is either DNA or RNA. Cell doesn't look like this, right? मतलब जो भी सेल के बारे में याद है आप याद करो. सेल में जो भी याद आ रहा है ऐसा तो नहीं था. Cell used to have plasma membrane. There was nucleus. There was mitochondria. There was cytoplasm. Cell organelles were there. It organized a structure. This is nothing. It's a capsule-like a structure. The capsule is made up of protein, and inside the capsule you have either DNA or RNA. That's it. Whereas when we talked about cell, agar cell ki baat kare, so cell has got everything. Cell has got this nucleus. In nucleus there is a lot of DNA. DNA is there. Then there is a cytoplasm, and in cytoplasm mitochondria, Golgi body, endoplasmic reticulum, everything was there. So cell is something that we have studied. We know that. We'll talk about it. But at least at this point, when we are focusing on virus, we can say that virus doesn't look like a cell. It is no cell. ये cell नहीं है. Then how does virus manage to reproduce? So virus is like terrorist. They don't have cell, right? They don't have any setup of their own. Like a terrorist which is coming in India, terrorists don't have any house. We have house, right? House is a kind of cell, you know. In the cell also you have a control center that is called nucleus, powerhouse that is called mitochondria, kitchen that is something else. So like our house has got different compartment and rooms for the different function, the cell has got the same structure. In cell different compartments are there to perform different function, that is called metabolic activity. In house, we also do the different function in the house so that our life is easy, right? Whether you are staying in Delhi or not, you have a house, you know, you are connected to that. But a terrorist who is coming to India is not having any house. All terrorist is having, terrorist is having just one thing, that is AK-47. एक ही चीज है उसके पास. या RDX है. AK-47 sounds good. So terrorists with AK-47, they sneak inside India and they roam around. The moment they look at any house which is open, where security is less, they enter into the house. The moment they enter into the house, they take out the AK-47 and they show it to the family member that this is AK-47 and now this house is under my command, right? AK-47 is fairly around 45 kg, Loha, iron. In house you have 200 kg of Loha, but that Loha is not equal to AK-47 in terms of mortality, है ना? मतलब हमारे घर में 45 kg लोहा थोड़े ना होता है, उससे ज्यादा ही होता है. सिलेंडर ही है कम से कम 20 kg का, है ना? With a stove it will be around 30 kg. सारे यूटेंसिल्स स्टील के बर्तन वर्तन सब मिला दो तो 200 kg तक तो पहुंच ही जाएगा. So we do have, now this is terrorist and terrorist has got this DNA. This DNA is AK-47. Terrorist का DNA क्या है? AK-47. And we do have DNA. We have more DNA, but our DNA is not that powerful as compared to virus DNA. That's the problem. So virus, they enter into the cell, they take out the DNA, and this DNA is so dangerous that it take command over our cell mechanism. अब सोचो terrorist is there in house with AK-47, so definitely now terrorist will hijack the house system. Now terrorist is saying that now this house is under my command, you all will be serving me, and we have no other option because we don't have any defense mechanism against this AK-47. We do have a lot of steel, but not as dangerous or as good as the AK-47 in that way. Now terrorist will start giving you command. You are pure vegetarian, but terrorist will tell you that today I'll have chicken. You said, no sir, I don't cook chicken. अब स्कोप ही नहीं है. आप लेके आओगे चिकन, बनाओगे, खिलाओगे. That means metabolic activity is being commanded by virus. If there is one AC or two AC in the entire house, terrorist कहेगा कि मैं सोऊंगा इधर. You manage with the other thing. So earlier energy was distributed in the house, but now the entire energy will go to what? Terrorist. So when the moment this virus enter into the cell own command is recessive. It get basically dormant, and this virus's command and virus's DNA take over the entire process. अब सोचो, cell is mine, but my cell is under command of what? Terrorist or virus. So virus is making the protein and the material of its own kind. Virus is utilizing the energy for its own growth. Cell is mine, but it is under control of virus. So now you say that this terrorist or this virus, which has no cell structure, now it has cell structure. It is hijacked cell. The cell which has been hijacked, it's there. And if the cell has been hijacked, then it is having metabolic activity also. And if cell is there, metabolic activity is there, then now the matter and energy that will be produced by the cell, it is not for the cell, it is for the virus. So one virus will enter, 10 will come out. It will multiply. And thus multiplication is known as what? Reproduction. You get my point? So if you ever want to understand how this virus is functioning in the body, it's the same thing. Now if the virus is lying over here, virus has no access to the cell. If virus is having no access to the cell, then it's no problem. It will degrade, it will chemically degrade. It's just a piece of chemical, particle of chemical. But when this virus gets inside the body and manage to get inside the cell, then it become active. It is living. You get my point? So you can write one point. And the first point you can write, the first point is about terrorist only. That is another way. You can write virus enters cell and hijacks cellular mechanism. Hijack cellular mechanism. Now the cell is under control of. Cell is under control of virus DNA or RNA. Virus DNA and RNA. All the matter and energy. Produced by the cell are being utilized by virus, and the virus multiplies inside the cell, that can be considered as reproduction. Right? Now let's talk about something like types of virus. So the first thing is on the basis of target. Infection target क्या है उसका? In that way, virus can be animal virus. animal virus is not animal virus. It's a virus which infect animal cells. So this will infect what? Animal cell. So that is why the word animal has been added before virus. Second one is plant virus. So virus is not plant. Rather, it will infect plant cells. So plant cells can also get infected by it. There is third one that is called bacteriophage. Bacteriophage. It infects bacteria. Bacteria is another entity, virus is another. And the virus which infect bacteria are known as bacteriophage. So bacteriophage is virus which infect bacteria. You get my point? And the fourth one is mycophage. Mycophage. It infects fungi. You know fungi? So virus can infect plant, it can infect animal. Animal में humans भी included है ना? It can infect bacteria, it can infect fungi. I mean all four life forms it can infect. है ना? UPSC asked one question long back, 5-7 साल पहले की बात है. और क्वेश्चन ये था कि viruses can infect which of the following? And it was multi-query question. It was not multiple choice question. Multi-query, you understand? 3 statement and again you have to choose correct one in a pair. 2 is correct, 3 is correct. So the first was plant, animal, fungi. And then it was 1, 2 and 3, only 1 and 2, only 1 and 3, only 2 and 3. So sometime very, surface level information can also be asked and we should be ready for that. मतलब ये सब सवाल तो बनने ही चाहिए. So that is how on the basis of target or infection, animal virus, plant virus, bacteriophage, mycophage. Yes, please. Sustain. Virus never sustain outside the body. It won't sustain. In COVID time, it was there ना. मतलब COVID का सोचो कितना confusion था COVID का time. कोई बोल रहा है कि वायरस, कोविड वायरस ऑन अ सरफेस कैन स्टे अप टू 72 आवर्स. उस चक्कर में कितनी चीजों को धूप में सुखाया हमने. अमेज़न से आया पड़ा हुआ धूप में 4 दिन तक, कोई छू नहीं रहा उसको. सोचो अगर वो 72 आवर्स तक जिंदा रहता तो हम में से कोई नहीं बचता आज के डेट. उस समय ये फियर था. आज के डेट में क्या कहते हैं कि इफ 2 people not having mask sitting close to each other for more than 5 minutes, then only you will get infected. मतलब सरफेस से नहीं आ रहा. Yeah, it's a good habit that you use sanitizer. It's a good habit. But if सरफेस से अगर आ रहा होता ना तब तो मामला ही खत्म था. But it was fear of unknown, right? And around that time people were doing, धूप में सुखा रहे, सब्जी लेके आ रहे हैं उसको. वो तो मैंने भी किया हुआ है. तो काम ही क्या था उस समय. 24 hour looked like this is 24 hour. मतलब उस टाइम पे ऐसा लगा कि 24 hour बिग बॉस ही हो गया था. एंड इन दैट बिग बॉस यू नीड टू बी एट द रिसीविंग एंड ओनली, है ना, बिकॉज बिग बॉस इज समबडी एल्स इन द हाउस. हम तो प्लेयर थे, वो भी अकेले. तो मामला वो था. और मेरे साथ तो एक ऐसी दुर्घटना घटी. ये जनता कर्फ्यू 22 मार्च को हुआ था, राइट. 21 मार्च आई वॉज इन चौपटा, तुंगनाथ, ट्रैकिंग करके उधर से लौटा था. 4 लोग स्वीडन के थे हमारे साथ जो वहीं मिल गए थे. तो वी ऑल बिकम फ्रेंड. एंड ऑल ऑफ सडन टीवी पे आया कि दिस इज स्प्रेडिंग टू ओनली दोज पीपल हु आर कम टू द क्लोज कॉन्टेक्ट विद फॉरेनर्स. है ना. और हम साथ 3 दिन से खाना खा रहे थे. एक वहां तो कुछ होता नहीं है ना. इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ वेरी प्रिमिटिव स्ट्रक्चर्स. आप ऐसे ही बैठ के खा रहे. एंड 4 स्वीडन पीपल एंड 1 वाज डॉक्टर फ्रॉम कोलकाता मेडिकल कॉलेज के एक डॉक्टर साहब थे. ही इज फ्रेंड नाउ. एंड 6 पीपल. एंड देन जनता कर्फ्यू एवरीथिंग स्टार्टेड. तो मैं तो ये सोच के आया कि आई एम इन्फेक्टेड, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली व्हेन आई केम बैक देन आई केप्ट माई सेल्फ इन आइसोलेशन. दैट काइंड ऑफ फियर इट वॉज. But now we know that if virus is there on a ground, then it depends upon the situation. Let's say कि अभी विंटर का टाइम है, अभी वायरस सस्टेन करेगा कुछ ज्यादा समय तक, बिकॉज आप सिंपल सोचो, खाना अगर रख दो आप, इफ यू कीप फूड, हाउ द फूड इज गोइंग टू सर्वाइव? फूड तो सड़ जाएगा, गर्मी होगी सड़ जाएगा, ठंडी होगी थोड़ा रुक जाएगा. I mean, food is like protein, carbohydrate, fat. The same thing is virus. If temperature is high, then virus will die within few hours only. Few hours nahi, 30 minutes mein. Temperature is low, the virus is going to sustain. But it's not like 72 hours. Virus is going to degrade, right? Anyway, the next one, second basis, on the basis of genetic material. Genetic material. You know genetic material? What is that? The DNA or RNA genetic material? Genetic material is called blueprint. अभी तक आप यही याद रखो, blueprint. What I am is because of genetic material that I got. And I got my genetic material like DNA from my father and mother. So my body's blueprint is my genetic material. And in my body, in your body, genetic material is DNA. Right? Everywhere genetic material is what? DNA. But virus is the only group where genetic material can be of two types, right? First one, DNA virus. What is called? DNA virus. So genetic material is DNA, right? And the second one is RNA virus. Genetic material is RNA. This RNA virus is also known as retrovirus. What we call it? Retrovirus. There is no other name of the DNA virus, but there is a name given to RNA virus that is called retrovirus. Retrovirus is a name, right? Abhi, I am coming to that. So first thing you should know that if they ask a question that in human body, which of the following is present? DNA, RNA, protein. All three are present. DNA, RNA, protein तीनों present है. और ये सब हम आगे पढ़ने वाले. Don't worry about it. But if they ask the same question, I mean same options are there, and they ask that in human being, which of the following is genetic material? Then it's only DNA. We do have RNA, but in our body, RNA is not genetic material. The blueprint is written over DNA. We get the DNA from father and mother. We don't get RNA from there, right? And our blueprint, our information is written onto the DNA. But if they ask the same question, that in biological world, which of the following can be genetic material? So DNA and RNA, because retrovirus is a group of biological entity which has got RNA as genetic material. Although it is just only one. ये एक ही group है, लेकिन है तो सही. So in the biological world, both RNA and DNA are present as genetic material, blueprint material. Yes, except for retrovirus, everywhere it is what? DNA. Bacteria, fungi, plants, animals, any animal, any insect you come across, the genetic material is DNA. I mean, DNA is the dominant genetic material. It is a prominent one. Why? Because DNA is more stable. The stability of the DNA is more than the RNA. DNA structure is, it is a stable structure. RNA structure is non-stable structure. Because RNA is, you can say like, it's not complex one. It is little simple structure. So RNA is simple and simple to complex. So imagine करो पहले कौन आया होगा? Simple आया होगा. That is why the retro word has been used. Retro का मतलब क्या होता है? पुराना. Retrovirus. I mean, on this earth, the first virus which appeared was RNA virus. Because RNA is a simple structure. Simple can lead to complex. And then this retrovirus later converted into DNA virus because RNA converted into DNA. But still we have a lot of retrovirus on this earth. RNA viruses are there on the earth. You got my point? So DNA, RNA both are genetic material on this earth. But in human being, it's only DNA. Although we do have RNA, and we'll talk about that in detail, it's not a problem. We are going to discuss this in that, right? Now let's talk about example. Example is interesting. This example, DNA virus, pox, and hepatitis. I mean, in the major disease that we come across, major disease, pox and hepatitis are disease which are caused by DNA virus. Smallpox, chicken pox, cow pox, all pox and hepatitis. इसके अलावा वायरस के जो भी डिजीज आप जानते होंगे वो सब कौन है? आरएनए. दे ऑल आर आरएनए. आई विल राइट फ्यू नेम. इसका एग्जांपल लिखते हैं. कोरोना वायरस, पोलियो वायरस, मम्प्स, measles, right, dengue, chikungunya, any kind of flu or influenza, that is called viral fever. Zika का नाम सुना होगा अभी, निपा का नाम सुना होगा. These all are RNA virus. I mean, it must be giving a sense that okay, ये सारे वायरस RNA वाले ही हैं, है ना? So does RNA virus impact more onto the human being? Yes, it do. What is the reason behind it? Because like I told you, that RNA is simple structure. It is not a stable one. So it can easily change. है ना? Chances of changes are higher in RNA. And any change in virus is known as variant. नाम सुना ना variant? COVID का नया variant आ गया. And wherever the new variant will keep on coming, that disease will be a little difficult to manage. You get my point? Simple structure RNA can be changed easily. External factor will change it. That is why we see that COVID has gone through the variety of variant. और हम तो उन्हीं वेरिएंट के नाम जानते हैं ना जो वेरिएंट ऑफ कंसर्न होता है. There is a concept variant of concern. WHO उसको पब्लिश करती है कि ये वेरिएंट ऑफ कंसर्न, इसको पब्लिश करो, अवेयर करो लोगों. There are many variants which we never get to know about it because it's a variant of, it's not a variant of concern. वो concern नहीं है हमारा. Because if there is RNA, let's say if there is RNA piece, and because of this RNA only the virus is virus. And if there is any change in RNA, it can be in two ways. Either it will make the virus weaker. तो virus अगर weak हो गया तो it's a good for us ना, because we don't need to talk, I mean bother about it. Virus has gone weak. Our immunity is stronger than the virus now. Or the variant can do one thing, any change in RNA and the virus has become stronger. That's a variant of concern. Delta variant. सबसे ज्यादा मारा लोगों को उसने. पहले कोरोना आया. And then corona, Delta variant became the second wave that created havoc across the world. Because that was a variant. And the problem is that variant was dangerous, stronger. Mortality was high. After that, another variant came, Omicron. It was less mortal, but high infectious. Infection rate was very high, but mortality rate was very low. Biggest difference between the two, I mean Delta and Omicron, Delta variant attacked at the lower part of the respiratory tract. Lungs का सबसे lowest part, जिसको alveoli कहते हैं, जहां से ऑक्सीजन डिफ्यूज करता है. फंक्शनल पार्ट पे उसने अटैक कर दिया. लोग मर गए. ओमिक्रॉन ने कहां अटैक किया? अपर पार्ट पे, ट्यूब्स पे. ट्यूब्स पे क्या होगा? सर्दी, खांसी, एलर्जिक रिएक्शन, कफ, फीवर, एंड यू विल बी फाइन. बिकॉज टू डील विद द वायरस यू डोंट हैव मेडिसिन. नन ऑफ द वायरल डिजीज हैज, इसमें से किसी का मेडिसिन नहीं है. दैट इज वाई वायरल डिजीज आर नोन एज सेल्फ लिमिटिंग डिजीज. द बॉडी विल बाउंस बैक if the virus has given you enough time. The problem is if virus is mortal, then it won't give you enough time. Delta variant पे भी, I mean, we all got infected by the Delta variant. बचना मुश्किल था उससे, लेकिन बच ही गए. Because the body got a time to produce the medicine. The virus can be dealt by the body mechanism itself. That is called interferon. Body produces a special protein that is called interferon. If the body produces interferon in time, then virus can be eliminated. But if the body is taking time to produce interferon and the virus is doing more attack, so what will happen? The person will collapse. Otherwise, there is no medicine. Injection लगा सकते हैं. The injection क्या है? It's a kind of, prepare your body before infection occur. But if the viral disease is there is no medicine, because मरे हुए को क्या मारोगे आप? Virus is there inside your cell. Detection of virus is very difficult, and the medicine will not work on that. You get my point? HIV का कोई मेडिसिन नहीं, इन्फ्लुएंजा, फ्लू, कॉमन कोल्ड का आज तक कोई मेडिसिन नहीं है. Because common cold आपको होता है, इन्फ्लुएंजा होता है. What we do? We take paracetamol or any tablet, and after 3-4 days we get back to the normal health. It means that in 3-4 days the body produces protein which is there to counter the virus, and that's all, right? So you can write one more point. ये example लिख लेना, and then you can write. Yes, please. RNA? RNA in human being?
Those examples are which are those which causes the ill effect, right? So do
This
we
one?
coronavirus, polio and all. So do we have any study which refers or which shows that contribution of RNA to evolve us as a human being?
RNA evolved us as a human being.
Yeah,
RNA do play very important role.
modification of cells and all thing.
नहीं, हमारे बॉडी में आगे आप पढ़ेंगे, हमारे बॉडी में सिंपल एक सिस्टम है, DNA to RNA and RNA to protein. That is called central dogma of biology. We'll talk to that. We'll come to the point, then we'll talk about. So our blueprint is essentially DNA. It's never RNA, but RNA is very, very important for us. Extremely important. Yes, for disease and all, we have retroviral therapy, mRNA medicine. So we have developed something over RNA, that we'll talk about. Anyway, you can write. Anji. Yes, I mean, except for virus is no cell. So wherever the cell is there, so this line I written, DNA to RNA, RNA to protein, that is called central dogma of biology. Biology का मतलब समझ रहे हो ना, सब में है. It is bacteria or fungi or plant or animal or insect, it is there. DNA is just a blueprint, and blueprint will execute. Blueprint होने से कुछ नहीं होता ना. अगर इस बिल्डिंग का blueprint हो, बिल्डिंग तो बनानी पड़ेगी. So DNA is blueprint. It doesn't do anything. It's just a blueprint. RNA is basically translation of blueprint, and protein is a premise that we create. Right? तो आप ऐसे समझो कि इस बिल्डिंग का जो ब्लूप्रिंट था वो डीएनए था, और आज जो ये बिल्डिंग खड़ी है ना, ये क्या है? प्रोटीन है, ये प्रेमाइस है, और जिस मजदूर ने इसके ऊपर काम किया, आर्किटेक्ट ने इसके ऊपर काम किया, वो सारे आरएनए हैं. सो ब्लूप्रिंट, आर्किटेक्ट, एंड देन द बिल्डिंग. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? द फाइनल प्रोडक्ट इज बिल्डिंग. Protein is something which is very important. I'll tell you one thing, that in our body everything is made up of protein. आप अभी मेलानिन की बात कर रहे थे, it's a protein. This hair is keratin, that's protein. Muscle is actin, myosin, that's protein. Bone is having calcium and protein, that is collagen. In animal body each and everything is protein. कभी जिम गए हो आप, और वहां जाते के साथ ट्रेनर क्या कहता है? प्रोटीन खाओ, नहीं तो मसल कैसे बनेगा? Right? Because our body is made up of protein, and protein will come from where? RNA. Who will make protein? RNA will make protein. And how RNA will make protein? Because RNA will get instruction from DNA. So DNA is blueprint, RNA is worker, and the premise or the final structure that we get is protein. अब blueprint है brown eye का या black eye का, तो black ही eye आएगा ना, blue तो नहीं आ जाएगा. You get my point? So that is how genetics work. We'll talk about it. Yes.
But when we catch cold, which is also a viral disease, the doctor prescribes antibiotics. So what does it mean?
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Antibiotic is something that in viral infection it works zero. अगर आप ढंग के डॉक्टर के पास जाओगे ना, जो आपके नोन, कभी रिलेटिव डॉक्टर के पास जाना, डॉक्टर हु इज योर रिलेटिव, ही विल सिंपली से वन थिंग, इन वायरल डिजीज एंटीबायोटिक क्या काम करेगा? एंटीबायोटिक का नाम सुनो, एंटीबायोटिक. बायोटिक, वायरस इज नॉन बायोटिक, इट्स नॉट लाइव. बट आई विल टेल यू व्हाई द डॉक्टर डू इट. हाँ, वो इसलिए होता है क्योंकि आई एम अटैक्ड बाय वायरस, राइट? So if I am attacked by virus and the viral attack is severe, let's say common cold, influenza that lasted for 10 days, 3-4 दिन में हो जाए कोई दिक्कत नहीं, it's a common thing. But it's more than 10 days. So what will happen? Due to the discomfort, due to the food habit change, my immunity will go down. So immunity has gone down. Doctor is knowing that okay 10 days लगा, हो सकता है 12 days ठीक हो जाएगा, ठीक तो हो ही जाएगा, क्योंकि वायरस को तो मार नहीं सकते, वो खुद ही जाएगा. बट इन दैट प्रोसेस 10 day I was in illness, so my immunity has gone down. So maybe on 12th day I will overcome the viral infection, but because my immunity has gone down, तो कोई बैक्टीरिया इन्फेक्ट कर सकता है. That is called secondary infection. You get my point? Because your immunity has gone down. So doctor as a precaution, they tell you कि ठीक है आपका तो 10 दिन तक फीवर लगा हुआ है, your immunity has gone down. So it is quite possible that viral fever will be get corrected by itself, but you can get the another infection because your immunity has gone down. So to revamp the immunity they give what? Antibiotic. लेकिन पहले दिन से ही देना नदन उसका कोई सेंस नहीं है. It's written into the medical book also that antibiotic doesn't work against virus. The body will produce interferon and that interferon will work against virus that will be produced by the body itself. है ना? तो prescribed medicines वो दे देते हैं. medicines तो वो फिर उसके लिए भी चलता है ना, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? हाँ मतलब ऐसे ही कुछ खाने के लिए होना चाहिए. हाँ that is the term.
सर
हाँ प्लेसिबो इफेक्ट, प्लेसिबो इफेक्ट के लिए.
सर
हाँ जी, यस प्लीज.
सर अगर पॉक्स वायरस है सर, तो सर इसका वो नहीं है, क्योर नहीं है, क्योंकि सर मतलब क्या बोलते हैं सर,
इसमें किसी का क्योर नहीं है.
नहीं
वही
सर.
तो मैं
अगर
कह रहा
सर
हूं.
इसके मेरे पापा के डीएनए से, जैसे मुझे पॉक्स है सर, तो मेरे पापा के डीएनए से उसका बन सकता है सर क्योर?
किसके डीएनए से?
जब मैं मतलब सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर, इसका सर क्योर कैसे बनेगा सर?
आपको पॉक्स हो गया?
सर मेरे पापा को पॉक्स हुआ है पहले.
हाँ.
तो सर इस मेरे पापा के डीएनए से बन सकता है सर?
आपके डीएनए से पॉक्स का?
हाँ.
नहीं. कोविड के टाइम में एक थेरेपी चला था जिसका नाम था प्लाज्मा थेरेपी. यू गेट माय पॉइंट? सो यू गॉट इन्फेक्टेड बाय पॉक्स एंड आपको चिकन पॉक्स हुआ होगा. चिकन पॉक्स से हम रिकवर कर जाते हैं. कैसे कर जाते हैं? बिकॉज वी गॉट इन्फेक्टेड बाय चिकन पॉक्स, देन बॉडी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग अगेंस्ट इट. So you developed interferon and antibody. So in your body, in your blood, now there is antibody. So what I can do maximum, that I can take the blood from you, I can separate the plasma, and when I separate the plasma, the antibody is there in plasma itself. And that plasma I can take in my body. So your antibody in my system, and antibody is produced by you, right? So once I produce antibody, then that disease will not affect anymore. That is why in entire lifetime chicken pox एक ही बार होगा. जिसको हो चुका उसको दोबारा नहीं होगा, और जिसको नहीं हुआ उसको होगा. Because once it happened, then body has produced antibody. So DNA से तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Antibody I can acquire by plasma therapy. That is what is done in COVID. कि because COVID में क्या, आप याद करो COVID में क्या था कि anybody who got infected by COVID in last around 60 days, they were invited कि आप आओ ब्लड डोनेट करो. Then we'll separate the plasma out of the blood. Blood cell वापस डाल देंगे. Only plasma will be taken out. And in plasma there will be antibody against COVID, and that will be injected in the person who is already going through the COVID infection. है ना? चले आगे. हाँ जी. That will come to that. वो आएगा धीरे धीरे एक एक करके. You were right?
Excuse me, sir. Hello. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir.
हाँ जी.
Sir, does virus help virus to create another virus? Does virus help virus to create different virus?
Two viruses combining.
Creating another virus.
There is a process called conjugation that will happen only in a living cell. If two viruses are there in a living cell, they can influence each other.
In case we can say there is a cell structure.
Cell structure is needed. For any action of the virus can do anything only when they are in a cell structure. बाहर में तो कुछ है ही नहीं ना, वो तो नॉन लिविंग है.
Means virus has cell structure.
Virus?
Has cell structure.
No, virus don't have cell structure. ने बताया तो, virus will get into the cell, then only it can do anything. Virus acquires cell. Our cell is acquired by virus. चलो, ठीक है. This is the first day we can have the open conversation, but कल से फिर I will go in my way, right? Because that is what it needed ना. Otherwise तो फिर तो directionless हो जाएगा ना. That will be a kind of, फिर तो query, उसके लिए अलग से सेशन रख लेंगे, डोंट वरी. संडे को आ जाना, आई विल बी फ्री, है ना. एनीवे, ठीक है. The thing is that I'm happy that you are asking. It means that, okay, science can be managed, right? The thing is that science is not that science that we need to get into that. It's a generalistic thing. Whatever we are talking about it, we have already seen it. अभी देखो जितनी भी बातें मैंने बताई सब कोविड के टाइम पे सुन रखा है आपने. Nothing I talked about which is very scientific in nature, कि उसके लिए हमें कुछ अलग से कुछ समझना पड़े. It's all same. You can write. RNA was the first genetic material. RNA was the first genetic material appeared. RNA was the first genetic material appeared on the earth. Next, you can write. RNA is less stable, and DNA is more stable. And DNA is more stable. That is why DNA is present as genetic material of all other organism on the earth, all other organism on the earth, except for retrovirus. Except for retrovirus. So retrovirus is the only thing where RNA is genetic material. Rest everywhere it is what? DNA. But I tell you one thing, that in our body we have RNA and DNA both. In any kind of cell we have RNA and DNA both. And that you have to remember the thing that it's always like DNA. We'll talk about DNA in detail. DNA to RNA, and RNA is making protein. So DNA is our blueprint. It's a blueprint. RNA is a kind of worker. They work upon the blueprint, and then the protein is the material that we make. That is a product. You can call it product or RNA is virus can convert its RNA into DNA, right? That is called reverse transcription. We'll talk about that. अभी नहीं, थोड़ा रुक जाओ. So DNA to RNA, RNA to protein. DNA is blueprint, RNA is workers, and the final product which comes is protein. In our body, protein is everything. Protein has got two functions: all structure and all function. Even all function are controlled by what? Protein. Enzyme सुना है ना आपने? In biology there is a phrase called all enzymes are protein. कहते हैं ना? पढ़ा होगा कहीं ना कहीं. All enzymes are protein. And nothing can happen in a body without enzyme. हम ब्रीथ भी कर रहे हैं ना, और उसमें ऑक्सीजन हीमोग्लोबिन के साथ मिल रहा है ना, वो भी एंजाइम. एंजाइम का दूसरा नाम है बायोकैटलिस्ट. कैन यू इमेजिन अ केमिकल रिएक्शन विदाउट कैटलिस्ट? चाहिए होता है. सिमिलरली in our body chemical reactions are going on, and for that chemical reaction we need a catalyst. So that catalyst is produced by the body itself, and that catalyst is called biocatalyst, and this biocatalyst is known as enzyme. And essentially all enzyme in our body is protein. That means all the functions which are going on in our body is under control of the protein. And all the structure that we have created in our body, from muscles to hair to skin and everything, that is also protein. That is why this blueprint is responsible for everything that we have. Our body is functioning in a proper way, that is because of the blueprint. It is not functioning in a proper way. I got a genetic disease because there is a fault in blueprint. The structure is like that because that structure is written onto the blueprint. And from where we get the blueprint? Parents. So half of the blueprint came from father, half of the blueprint came from mother. That is why our structure, somehow sometime it is there with the mother, sometime with father, sometime mixture of both, sometime unique things will come up because combination will create something unique, right? And that is how the entire biology works. This is called central dogma of biology. Central dogma of biology, right? So we just talked about one basic thing, and that basic thing is characteristic of living, understanding the characteristic of living, connecting link between living and non-living, and understanding what is virus, what is the peculiar thing about the virus, right? So when we meet tomorrow, then tomorrow we are going to have our first class. ये तो बातचीत थी. In the first, because we have to start biotechnology, right? But for biotechnology, we have to talk about cell. So first class, tomorrow we are going to discuss about cell, DNA in detail, RNA in detail, protein in detail. So this particular central dogma we are going to understand in tomorrow's class.